Hi, Nigel here with the Drive Wire, and this is the brand new, even though it's a 21 model, Jeep Grand Cherokee L. So it's got 3 rows of seats. They've entered the party a little bit late, so it's gone up against the likes of the Kia Telluride, the Honda Pilot, even its own Dodge Durango. Now this is the 5th generation of the Grand Cherokee, and step back and take a look. It's obviously longer, but I think it looks pretty damn good. Now this one comes in Summit trim. That's actually one less than the Summit Reserve, so this has pretty much got everything on it. Now the Summit trim starts around $58K. This one runs a little under 70,000. It's got a sunroof, it's got a bunch of packages on it. That's a lot of money, but the good news is they start at around 38. So you can pick a base model, add what you need to it, and you're still going to get a great car. You can come 2-wheel drive, or you can get it in this one, which is the all-wheel drive version. Everything is new on this car except the engines. We'll get to those in a minute. It does ride on a brand new platform, which surprised me a lot when I drove it. It's really, really good. So they've done a lot of improvements to make this thing drive. Obviously, it has the Quadra-Track all-wheel drive goodies on board as well, meaning that this thing can hopefully, when we test it off-road later in the video, almost anywhere. Now bear in mind, when we get to that segment, it does have street tires, but we'll take that into account when we tackle some more difficult terrain. So you can definitely see the additional wheelbase length in here. In fact, the car is 205 inches long. That's, well, if you want to figure out how easily you can get it into your garage, about 17 feet 1 inches. And it's about 15 inches longer than the regular Grand Cherokee model. So from the front, the Grand Cherokee has an all-new face, still obviously a Jeep, but I actually really like it, the way they've redesigned this. And if you take a look from the side, you'll notice that the front grille leans slightly inwards towards the vehicle, very reminiscent of the old Wagoneer, perhaps. Now I mentioned that this one comes with the air suspension system, so if you put it up on the highest level, little controller inside the car to do just that. You get 10.9 inches of ground clearance, which is pretty impressive. All right, so what's under the hood? Not much has changed, unfortunately. The rest of the car is brand new. These are somewhat older engines. 2 options. This one has the V6. It's a 3.6 liter. It has 293 horsepower and 260 foot-pounds of torque, driven through an 8-speed automatic transmission. The other option is a V8. It's a 5.7 liter Hemi engine. If you don't care about gas prices, then by all means option that one. It has 357 horsepower, 390 foot-pounds of torque, and it's also driven through an 8-speed automatic transmission. So the good news is that there's a 4xe coming, which will have the Turbo 4 and the electric motors, which is a good thing. If you do get the V6, you can tow 6,200 pounds. If you get the V8, you can tow an extra 1,000, 7,200. So it takes your choice. So with it being 3-row, on this particular model Summit, it's fully loaded. So these have electric motors to put them up and down. What I especially like though, whether these are motorized or manual, is that even with the 2nd row all the way back, these seats clear and fold completely flat. Now some manufacturers and some cars that I've driven, it's been annoying in that the seat is just butted up against the seat in front. You got to go over there, pull the seats forward to get them out of the way. This pleases me a lot. So 2 buttons here, drops the headrests, and I don't know why I did that. I decided to not put that one down until the other one's gone down, but anyway, as you can see, they are completely flat and they've cleared the 2nd row. And then for the other ones, there's one handle and you're done. It also drops the headrest. When you have all of these seats down, you get about 84 cubic feet of space. I'm impressed. Putting them back up is equally simple. And then the only really thing you have to do manually is put up the headrest. I like the fact that they line themselves up as well pretty perfectly. Yeah, this is good. Jeep has done a lot of thinking here, and they've done a pretty good job. And then under here, you can lift this up, and not only do you have additional storage space under here, but there's a little drain cap, so if you have any spills of liquids, you can drain it out underneath the car. It does come with a spare too, which is also an added bonus. It's a pretty decent amount of room to actually get in. I've moved that other seat forward to give me a little bit of leg room. All right, so once you're in the back, it's not too bad. There's enough headroom for me, but anybody taller would be a little bit squeezed in. I've got an okay amount of room. It does feel like I'm slightly offset from that seat, so this is sort of slightly getting in the way. Typically, in most cars with the captain's chairs option, you could actually put your foot through there, but that's not a problem. You got your own AC vents. You also got power, fast USB, regular USB. It's not too bad. They're not the most comfortable places to sit, but let's face it, most of the time, only kids would be in the back. This one obviously has the captain's chairs as an option, and they're pretty good. You've got forward and back movement. I've got a decent amount of leg room. This is a little bit of storage space here. There's some storage space here, 2 decent sized cup holders. And then you get all your AC vent controls, etc. This one also comes with a little sunshade, which is pretty good for a day like today because it's pretty damn sunny. Here's a panoramic sunroof. But yeah, these chairs are a hell of a lot more comfortable than those back ones. All right, so here we are in the front of the Jeep, and this is where most of the new stuff is. In fact, the interior is not only stylish, packed with new technology, it looks really good to the eye, but it's also pretty functional as well. Now, bear in mind, the old Jeep was quite old. One of the complaints was the tech was considerably old. They've managed to make it still feel super modern, but also very functional. These seats, for example, on this particular model, because it's a Summit trim, these are the Napa leather seats. They're heated, they're cooled, they've got full power and a massage function, which works really, really good. I can show you that later. The passenger gets exactly the same controls as the driver, which I like. One of the options on this car is the Macintosh stereo. 17 speakers, probably one of the best I've ever heard. All right, take a look at this dash from the driver's perspective. There's a brand new screen here. This has Uconnect 5. Once you get into the menus, this thing is really cool. So dominating the central area. I wish the only thing that I don't like about this is if this might be sort of slightly canted towards the driver a bit more. Across the top, you got an array of buttons that are probably not used as much. Park assist, hazard, warning lights, traction control off, and then your lane departure warning off, and then your stop start. So they're sort of hidden away. I like that. These vents across the top look really cool. The dash is all nicely sculpted. Good solid quality. Except for maybe here, the plastic's a little bit harder. Bit of a pet peeve of mine, but I'm fairly small, so my knee's not rubbing against this, but maybe larger people would find it a little bit hard there, so maybe some softer plastics here, but everything seems really well screwed together. Okay, so talking about the new touchscreen, just hit home to go home. You can easily pair this with your phone. You can add it at Apple CarPlay. If you look under here, you've got a nice charger with plenty of power, 12 volt, too slow, too fast. USB chargers right there. I like the comfort screen because you can go in. I mean, not only can you control the massage features for each seat, but you can go in, you got waterfall, lower back, extend, rock climb. It's really cool. And then the rear seat passengers and the very back passengers, or any dogs that you might be carrying, you can basically customize their controls, or you can sync them to the driver, so that right now I have it set to 66. It's kind of warm today. You can sync the rear passengers to 66, or they have controls in the back that they can do it for themselves. Okay, if you go into the vehicle, this thing's got some pretty cool features in here. Third row headrest fold. That's handy if the headrest, and they do get in the way in the rear view mirror. and I've used it a couple of times, but I've actually folded those seats right now so they're completely out of the way. It's got a really good high-def forward-facing camera. It's got a great rear camera, super high-def. It also has the fam cam. Hit the fam cam, you can see what's going on. You can see who's in the back. In this case, you can take a look and see what the dogs are up to. Make sure they're not tearing the vehicle up. And then it also has the, and this is good, the forward-facing camera, and we used this when we were off-road. Really does see everything, including large rocks and any obstacles that might be in the way that you could damage the vehicle. Also, a whole bunch of apps in here, including Alexa, ambient color. So you can hit ambient color and you can change the colors. I have it set to blue right now, but if you wanted to go green, does the footwell, the side looks really cool at night. Orange, sort of orangey yellow. I'm a little colorblind. Red, it's like a volcano erupting. I'm going to go back to blue because it's a little bit more calming. Apps are really cool. There's also a bunch of different things that you can access in here, including your radio. You got a heated steering wheel, mirror dimmer, massage seats, everything you can go into here and control. So below the touchscreen, as I said, there's a lot of physical buttons. You've got heated seats on this one, you've got cooled seats on this one, you've also got a heated steering wheel, which comes in handy if you go into the mountains. And then below that, you've got your direction of flow. Everything you can do down here, you can do under the comfort setting within there. Okay, moving down to the center console, yeah, there's a lot of piano black. It's not my favorite. You can see it's been marked up, people's jewelry, watches, nails, etc. It's not good if you have OCD. But anyway, this one has all the bells and whistles for off-road, rock, sand, mud, snow, auto, sport. And then here's your center transmission shifter. It's not my favorite, but it's the new way to go with a little twisty sort of knob to do that. Over on the right-hand side, you've got the different levels for the air suspension. You can put it up high. As I said, it goes to around 10.9 inches. I have it set on level 2. You can drop it even lower. And then adding to its off-road ability, you have the crawl control, and you have four-wheel load. Then it has, to help you off-road, the off-road pages. So here you can see with these diagrams, you know, what the steering angle is. Obviously we're not moving, so it's straight ahead. The transfer case is unlocked, rear axle locker is unlocked, depending on, you know, and then you can select your terrain. You get these super cool graphics as to sort of where you are. You're in four-wheel drive high, what your altitude is, and your lat long coordinates. You can look at pitch and roll, see what kind of incline you're going up. Apparently we're on a 3% pitch right now, despite being in a parking lot. Looks quite a lot worse than it is. You got some accessory gauges to show what your coolant temp is, voltage, tramp, lots of bells and whistles on this car. And then you can go into suspension settings and see what your suspension is doing, whether you're at the top of the settings or not. There's your forward-facing camera for any obstacles that you might be hitting. Super cool. In the center, you have a push-push, shows you the two cup holders. And then center armrest has some sort of storage right there, and then when you move that up, you get a larger storage bin underneath for stuff. Immediately ahead of the driver, you get the new digital cockpit, digital driver gauges, and then you have some controls on the left of the steering wheel. If I hit the little down button, I like the way that the two gauges on the right move out of the way. It's pretty cool stuff. Very similar to kind of what Audi does, but I like the clear and crisp graphics on this. I'm averaging 16 miles to the gallon. It's a big car with a V6 that doesn't have a turbo. One of my few complaints. I got some range, etc. on here. Current temperature, if I keep flicking down here, I can see my trip A, trip B, and then we can put a map display on here. Really cool graphics as well for the map display. I really like what they've done here. And then you can put the off-road pages in front of the driver as well as on the center screen. And then simply hit it one more time to go back with the center speedo in the middle. I really like it. They've done a great job with this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take it for a drive We're going to see how it goes. On-road and then off-road. All right, so first impressions of the Jeep, and we're actually on a little bit of an off-road section first. I time warped over here, and it's quite smooth. It feels lighter. Even though it's a 3-row, it feels a little bit lighter than the outgoing model. A little bit less truck-like. Suspension's super compliant, especially this air suspension system. And we're on sort of a semi-rough sort of trail. It's partially paved. It's not the smoothest road, but it's a good test of this vehicle's suspension. Steering is also quite nice too. When we get onto some faster roads, I'll put it in sport mode. Right now I'm just in auto mode, and the system is just doing what it feels best, providing me the traction that I need. Steering's good. It's not too light. It's not too heavy. It does get a little bit heavier in sport mode, and the transmission changes to a slightly more aggressive mode, holds onto the revs a little longer, sometimes a little bit too long, but I'll show you that in a second once we get back onto some paved roads. I'm impressed how this drives. Definitely a huge improvement over the old Grand Cherokee, the outgoing model. Now we're taking obviously easier because we're on street tires, and the last thing I want is a flat all the way out here and having to change a tire. That sucks. Even though this is a pre-production model, I'm not hearing any rattles or creaks. Actually, the only thing that I found was this had come slightly loose here, but we can forgive it. It's a pre-production model, and we can definitely forgive it for that. Certainly off-road in auto mode, the throttle control is really good. It doesn't surge. It's really linear. It's not what you want when you're hopping over rocks and big obstacles. So the throttle's pretty good. Brakes are good too. Obviously it's a big car. This one weighs less than 5,000 pounds, which surprised me when I looked up the curb weight. It's about 4,800 pounds, which is not bad. They've shed quite a lot of weight by using high tensile steel, high strength steel, which is lighter but stronger. Definitely done some weight shedding with this car, which they needed to do. So here we are on the paved road section here, and let's see how it does. So I'm going to put it into sport mode, and the graphics change, and it starts to hold its revs a little longer. The suspension firms up, and when you're in sport mode, put your foot down, the transmission's reprogrammed so it gives you the revs you need. This is a car or an engine rather, the V6 does not have a whole lot of torque, 260 foot-pounds, but the transmission takes that into consideration, holds the revs and keeps you in that torque band, and this is not slow. Considering its capabilities off-road, this drives really well on-road. You can definitely feel that it's a big car, but it's certainly not a sports car, but it does feel relatively nimble. Slow in, fast out, and this is quite enjoyable to drive. Right, well, I'm seriously impressed. That was some fairly mild trails and then some on pavement, and I'm impressed with the engineering on this car. Really good. Now, we're going to take it on some more technical stuff, so let's check out how it does there. All right, so here we are on the off-road trail. Give this Jeep Grand Cherokee long wheelbase a chance to get up this section here. We've got a couple of other more technical sections, and we'll do some hill descent as well. Let's get going. So we just had Border Patrol do the exact bit that we're going to do right now, so let's see if our Jeep can do that. A little bit of wheel spin, but the system has done pretty well. It's kind of rocky right here. Obviously, remember we're on road tires, so we got to be a little careful. And then if you need to put it in rock mode, you actually have to put it into four-wheel drive low, but this section doesn't require four-wheel drive low. It will when we go up the hill on the other side, but Got the wheel off the ground. Nice. All right, keep coming, keep coming. You're good. You're good, slow. Okay. Things you shouldn't do in a $70,000 Jeep. Part 1. But it's doing fine as I expected. I think if this was muddy, we definitely need better tires. Slow. Doing good. Yeah, tons of clearance. Really good. This is a decently steep bit of slope. When we used a Wrangler, last time we tested one of those, it was around 19%. Going up the other side, it's about 23, so it's pretty steep going back up the other side. The thing I think this car won't handle. Just want to make sure we don't break it. The four-wheel load's going slow enough, so it's just controlling the descent. I'm not sure if he's got the hill descent control on or not. Are you using hill descent? Okay, so it's got hill descent control on. You can vary the speed. The car's basically doing all the work here. The thing's got plenty of clearance. It's just this one rock here. There we are. Aced the hill. All right, so what do we think? Well, this thing is absolutely epic. They've done a fantastic job in redesigning the Grand Cherokee, the Icon, into this great 3-row off-road vehicle. It's very impressive. As you can see, we've scaled this little hill without any problem. We did some off-road. It did really well. Obviously, we could have taken it to some more severe places, but we needed to not damage the vehicle. Plus, it is on street tires. This Grand Cherokee all-wheel drive Summit, it's pretty damn good. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Please subscribe, like. Hey, let me know if you've bought one of these recently. We know we have the 2-row coming out pretty soon. I'm excited to test drive that one as well. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.